So just to briefly introduce you to IIT Palakkad Technology iHub Foundation, I know many of you already know about it, so I'll be very quick on this. So this is a Section 8 company. IIT Palakkad has two of them. One is called Tekin, which is a technology, which is a incubator, and the second one is what we call IPTIF, IIT Palakkad Technology iHub Foundation. So this is a special purpose vehicle, as they call it. It's created as a company of IIT Palakkad for a special purpose to get funding from DST under this National Mission for Interdisciplinary Cyber Physical System (NMICPS). Core, focus areas that we work on are intelligent collaborative systems, which is a jargon created to kind of represent cyber physical systems in a very selected areas. And we have a focus domain given to us, that is energy and safety. Okay. So the vision of the hub is to establish a world-class technology innovation hub for cyber physical systems, for especially novel product development, upskilling new talent to kind of contribute to product development, and also support entrepreneurs in this domain. So all of you know what CPS is. I don't think I need to explain that to you. But just to give you the definition of CPS for us, when we define this, we have actually identified a few building blocks that you see on the left side: modeling, analysis, embedded system, power electronics. These are the competence that we have at IIT Palakkad, and each of them are building blocks for cyber physical system. So what IIT Palakkad has done is they've identified this area, and then there is a term called collaboration, where multiple of these can come together and can have application in priority areas that are listed in the bottom box, like energy, safety, healthcare, defense, automotives. So these are the core areas currently we are working. We are developing products in this area, or supporting startups in this area, or supporting skill development in this area. So we are on the second floor of the APJ Abdul Kalam block on the right side. We have a pretty decent space for with a seating of around 60 to 80. We have very good fabrication facility on the ground floor, mechanical fab lab, and we also have electrical fabrication facility and 3D printing facility. And we have created a 20-seater skill development facility for advanced skilling. Uh, okay, these are the different engagement models. This is more for outsiders, but I think maybe if you can look at the academia, there are ways how we support, and support as like students or entrepreneurs amongst you, or those who are interested to kind of join startups or be as an intern in any startup supported by IPTF. We have mechanism to facilitate that. So that goes into the second. All others are for the external stakeholders, mostly startups, industries, and the corporates who associate with us. So just that is basically a disclaimer, saying that I do not have myself startup experience. I have not done a startup myself, but I have actually worked with more than, I would say, 300 startups, if I can take the count. Being in BIRAC, I have mostly focused on diagnostic, healthcare, agri, and medtech, and pharma. So these kind of startups all over India, I have a lot of them whom I am connected to, and whom I have been able, I have been part of their journey as an funding agency, or in defining their goal setting milestones. So that experience I have kind of in fact startups at different stage, some of them who have even reached up to unicorns. So okay, coming back to the topic here. So while introducing tech-led entrepreneurship or innovation per se, so this pastures quadrant actually, it needs to get reiterated, even to academicians, even to students, even startups. We need to reiterate it over and over, because uh, this actually gives you all the essence of what an innovation is, and which quadrant do you place yourself? That's basically, and based on that you have to choose your journey, whether you want to be a startup founder, whether you want to be an innovator, or you want to be a scientist working on basic research. So that understanding is very crucial. So I think this is also from from a mindset point of view, or like when you choose your career, you personality type, everything can be defined using this one small quadrant. So if you look at it, I don't think I need to explain it in detail. All of you know who all these guys are. So I mean, all these great people are. So okay, uh, Niels Bohr, Pasteur, Edison. So you see the difference, right? Niels Bohr has worked on very basic principles, fundamentals, has defined some of those dogma or axioms for us. So he goes into the fundamental research, and which definitely has application, high level fundamental research. When you look at Pasteur, I think his contribution in say pasteurization or immunization, it actually has touched the humanity, right? So it's a user inspired research, but high level research. But if you look at Edison, what he has done is it's not a, I don't think even he invented the electric bulb, but I think he created the commercial version of the electric bulb. Like, in fact, that was like an innovation, and it is completely a inspired research. So which quadrant we need to fit ourselves is very important thing, that then when we define ourselves, if you want to take this journey in entrepreneurship, or if you want to take a journey in science, so it's better to define ourselves and then accordingly play. So that is one basic message I wanted to share with Pasture's quadrant. And on the right side, what I have tried to represent is how innovation, where does actually the innovation word comes in. So as you know, the what we do in science, like as you do science or research, what comes out is new knowledge, right? You need somebody to kind of innovate to put that new knowledge into a technology, and later on you also need to innovate a business model to kind of convert that technology into a product or a service. That's where I think you will have a successful product in the market. So this, and it also, this all of this will feed back into kind of bringing new things out of doing science. So that's how the this this flow chart, or whatever you can call, this works. So again, coming back to this innovation thing, I have taken an example from my own domain. So all of you know about DNA, right? All of you have studied this in school. So see the timeline of all the three things that I have put there. So 1954, when Watson and Crick, when they discovered the double helical structure of DNA, and they defined the characteristics of DNA and what it can do. Little did we know that 30 years or 40 years later, this is going to kind of converted into a technology called PCR, polymerase chain reaction. Or for the same matter, Alec Jeffrey has come up with something called DNA fingerprinting, where I think you can identify a person's fingerprint, a genomic fingerprint, to identify persons. So that actually is a technology which was created from the knowledge that Watson has or Crick has. And then see, when we had COVID, all of this actually mattered. So we had a COVID-19 diagnosis. All of you know that the RT-PCR, it was created out of this something that existed in 1984, discovered, or that somebody had actually translated into this technology called PCR. That was actually that commercialized into what we call, so it says innovation that came up. And this was actually, this technology was nicely used. And if you actually go one step further, the ones who could actually market it very well, or you can produce better efficiency, they were the leaders in the market. Okay, so that's how the science, technology, and innovation is connected. I thought I'll just give you a small example to kind of explain this concept. So just to put this innovation in words, so innovation, we need not actually limit the word innovation to say technology or science. When you look at innovation, it can be it can be looked at in multiple ways. So it can be bringing a new idea, method, process, product, service, etc. finally, which is going to impact and create value. That's basically the simple definition of innovation. You need a basic concept or basic the thing which I think you will advance using the component called innovation. So that actually you will transform a concept for a tangible outcome, which will definitely increase the value. Okay. So as I said, it's not limited to technological advancement. You can have uh, innovation in the way I teach, or your professor teaches you, or how IIT Palakkad is run or IPTF is run. So innovation can come, or even on the daily routine processes, we can actually bring in innovation. So that's something. It's a very broad term, but I think very widely used now in connection with entrepreneurship and startups. If you think about tech-led innovation, the first name that would come to you is like Apple. I mean the heights of, or now maybe Elon Musk's SpaceX, or so that kind of companies would stand up there, like on the top of the list, where tech-led innovation, where they're creating new products. They're you know um, they're trying to identify the best partners to kind of give high quality products to you. And some many of them are kind of very disruptive innovations, like Android, when how it disrupted uh, mobile phone as an industry. For that matter, Google Maps or Google per se, how, I mean, that's not a technology innovation. Basically, maybe they have created a platform, use the existing technologies, and this actually how useful it is for us. And similarly, Uber, Zomato, Blinkit, Indigo. Now I have put all these things because they all are basically a case study for innovation, disruptive innovations. Sony, if you go through the history of digital camera, how they disrupted Kodak, the earlier, I don't know how many of you have actually used that earlier Kodak camera, how they disrupted, and how this idea came out from one of the employee within Kodak, and how he was not encouraged there, and how he came out, and this technology was developed by Sony, and they disrupted Kodak. I even look at the right side. You see, I come from a place called Kottakkal. It's famous for Ayurveda Shala. It's an Ayurveda town. So in 1902, what these guys had done is very innovative and very disruptive. So they were the first one to bottle Ayurvedic medicines. So until then, it was like people were making it. You have to collect these things when you go to a Vaidya or doctor. He'll make it and he will give it to you. That was a kind. When these guys actually entered the market bottling it, that became the new now. That's basically innovation. And even I put here what Eastern Chukku Kapi. It's basically, if those of you don't know Malayalam, it's something like kada, what you use for bad throat or fever. So back in 2011, I had this original idea of getting it into maybe a packet, like a ball or something. Which, because every time you have fever, you go around, you find dry ginger and things. Why don't you get it into a product? But now somebody had already done that now, so nobody goes around to kind of find tulsi and this and this. People directly go buy this, and so this is how innovation actually impacts human life. Okay, so I'll come to the topic where I think where I'm sharing my understanding of the key components. I've taken 10 components which would actually play the top role in the tech led entrepreneurship leading to a startup. The very first thing is the problem statement. What problem are you trying to solve is the big question that you need to answer. Is this problem big enough, requiring a technology intervention? It's a very interesting question what I have asked. So I'll give you an example here. Like we had somebody proposing to us, said that I can have a drone, uh, which instead of climbing coconuts, I can have a drone flying, and actually in a coconut farm I can use a drone to kind of bring or plug the coconuts. So does it actually need that kind of a solution, or you need something else? So that it's a very interesting point, whether do you have, you can get these kind of ideas, but what whether a drone can take care of that kind of problem. That was a very interesting question that we discussed, and finally we said no, drones are not for that. Maybe that's not a good solution. What you actually need to see is a vision statement. For if you're building a startup, you need to create a vision statement. For example, if you're a startup, you know um, say, to give you an example, like startup selling a prosthetic, like a prosthetic arm or prosthetic foot, you will be able to kind of have a vision statement, like, my vision is to have, uh, like, low cost limb, anybody in India, anybody, any amputee in India, to have a limb that can be dependent on. And so you have defined the larger statement for you, like once your startup takes this product to market, what change are you going to bring in the market. So that level of definition is required for you to kind of, that's the way you define a problem statement. So that, with that problem statement comes your technology solution. If you're working on a technology solution, that's a technology solution. If you're working on a business solution, business innovation, you replace this with a business innovation. So is your technology solution looking for a problem? This is a very important question. You may be now building a robot in your BTech project. So you have built the robot. Now what to do with it? Is it really something built for built to solve a real world problem, or you just, it was a hobby project? That needs to get defined. So these are all kind of key questions that you need to ask before you think of jumping into entrepreneurship or jumping into incorporating a startup. So whatever you're built, whether it is actually solving a problem, whether it's you, are you going to reach a customer who is going to pay you for this? Okay. So is the technology solution addressing the problem directly or complementary? Is there an innovation element worth protecting? Is the technology stack future ready, supporting a long term vision of your startup? So have you built all these points, and are you ready to kind of take it all the way into a product? Whatever you have as a technology solution, really addressing a problem. And that would be your mission statements, the steps that you're going to take, the, what, for you to kind of take this technology or a solution to the market for addressing that problem. With that, I think you should be able to create a mission statement. So the customer pain is something which, that's indirectly how you actually define your problem statement. So you need to define your target customer. You need to kind of understand whether there are enough customers to kind of uh, to have a startup to sell your product. So whatever you have identified, either now or in future, are they going to be customers? So that needs to be identified and defined. And how big is the market to kind of run a profitable business now? Or if it is a local problem that you're trying to solve, of course, there are support coming for that. So what we call social entrepreneurship. What is the existing solution addressing the pain point? If you're trying to address a problem, um, you probably know that, okay, currently this is done this way. What is the closest competitor? It's not something that is somebody is developing now, but it's already existing. So what is existing now, right now? For example, to give you an example, in IIT Palakkad, I want to introduce an EV. Okay, your existing solution in IIT Palakkad is bus in every 15 minutes to commute from one campus to another, or to a hostel to the main campus, or whichever way. So I see a problem statement that, okay, any student who wants to travel from Nila campus gate to say Saraswati block, I have a problem statement there. I have a gap there. Can I introduce an EV, maybe a three wheeler there, and then solve this problem? So I know my competitor now is that bus. Okay, that's the only solution. Or some of you may have bicycles, or whichever. So that kind of a definition is required. If so, somebody says, okay, no, EV, we don't have a charging infrastructure here. So what next? So it can actually, that's how you build the the patient gain, and the pain. So how are you going to give the gain to the patient, to the customer? Sorry, in this case, the customer. Uh, so that kind of a definition is very much important. And technical feasibility, that's this is basically measuring your metal, whether you have the bandwidth and understanding the challenges that you're going to face when you're going to climb this, take up this startup journey or an entrepreneurship journey. Do you really have the team, or whether you have the understanding of what are you going to kind of go through, the steps that are required to kind of take whatever you now have identified as a solution, technology solution, all the way to market? Do you have understanding of the technology readiness levels of the segment that you're working in? I'll come to this TR, technology readiness level, in a later slide. Have you identified the team and skill set for developing such a technology solution? This is a very crucial thing. Do you know who are going to join you, going to kind of give you support in business, some support in technology? So you need to kind of understand all this and then define the technology feasibility, whether this thing is whatever you have defined is feasible now. So if you want to build a satellite now, do you have the resources? Do you have the faculty who is going to mentor, or do you have to depend on somebody abroad who is available for you, at what cost? All these things will come in here. Competitor profile is basically who else is working in this area, who else is cooking, and who is going to be the closest competitor currently. What other unique selling proposition that you can bring in? Okay, you know that the other guy is going to come up with a three-wheeler, maybe, which is going to charge it at a certain voltage, 48 volt. Why can't I bring something at higher volt? Try to kind of have a battery cooling and other things developed, and I can charge it in 15 minutes when the other guy's EV is charging, like, in 1 hour. So create a moat, what you call, and a unique selling proposition that gives you a market edge for a long time. That actually you need to be in market for a long time before you get disrupted. So there is a continuous process of innovation that is required uh, to be in the market, to be a entrepreneur, or to be a successful startup. Again, the time to market, the gestation period, it varies from products to product what you're working on. So if you look at say a drug, for an example, for a drug to come from the identifying that this is a potential chemical that can be converted into a drug molecule, into clinically tested drug molecule, into market, it would take anywhere between, like, say, 8 to 12 years, 8 to 15 years. That's a time that this needs to get invested. So I've seen startup founders doing that. So they just identified a molecule, new molecule. They would have just tested that, okay, this has the druggability properties, and they would have actually tested it in a cell culture model to say that, okay, this is able to kill cancer cells. Okay, now next I need to go and test its toxicity, then do efficiency in mice model, then do a patient trial, first level. So all these steps, it's going to take years together. And as you know, the time is equal to cost, and then you should have a clear understanding what you're starting again. Then these are the terminologies, and the product market fit, validation, etc. This would come into once you actually have a product, once you have a prototype which you have kind of already started and taking it forward. You'll find out what the strategies you need to use for going to market. How do you discover customers? How do you kind of get customer feedback? How do you test your product and to see whether it is actually fitting the market that you're targeting? So all these things needs to be done, and there are stages where you decide, okay, I cannot go forward at this stage, I need to drop this. So that's also there. So I think that's what all this, so the go no go decision at this stage is something which I've going further. Innovation IP is something which I think, hope all of you are familiar with. So most of the startups try to build a story around a very valuable patent. So if you have a value of patent that currently or in future it's going to be very valuable, strategically you have filed a patent, an idea that is now patented, or you find that, okay, you don't have an original idea, but you see that IIT Palakkad has an original idea sitting with Professor Dinesh. You want to kind of take that idea, and you see that something which Dr. Dinesh is not seeing it. So you want to take that idea, and then you want to kind of convert it into a technology in future. So that's like in licensing, out licensing, etc. So all these are different strategies. So rather than you building all of it, you can always in license something which is there, or you can have a strategic collaboration. Like, for example, Apple does not build any of their product, right? Most of the things get built at Foxconn, and so Apple only kind of brands it out. So similarly, strategic collaborations are very important as we move forward. Then regulations, etc. That I think it's good to know that when you're jumping into the well, who is going to kind of know what kind of crocodiles or what kind of snakes are there. So regulations are getting tighter and tighter in every sector. Like every sector that you jump in, you need to kind of shell out money for getting certifications. Basically it's all from the customer safety, or the end user safety, or the ecosystem safety, or environmental safety. All the regulations are placed, it's for good, and it's always good to know them and then subscribe to them much earlier. So when you're building it, try to incorporate all this. And of course, finally, scalability. So when technology is designed, you always want it to be scalable. You want it to be kind of you have to build it in a very robust way, so that there is scope for further innovation or further iterations, which your market is demanding, your customer is demanding. And but on top of all these things, I kind of put this last line in red. It's the mindset of an entrepreneur. So you just need to have uh, the humility, and then agility and resilience. So these are the three things I would count as a top quality for an entrepreneur. All other things will follow. So if you're humble enough to kind of present and get people attracted to your idea, at the same time, you're agile. When people say that, okay, this it's not the way it works, you need to kind of try this. You should be quickly able to adapt and then move into that mode. And resilience, the success, you will not find an investor jumping onto your boat very easily. You may have to go pitch 100 times to find a top investor. So all these things, but you may find an investor in the very second time. An IPTF may be very interested in your idea because it's aligning to our area. So there's a lot of luck and a lot of things coming in, but the resilience is something which would be required for you to take it to market. So I'll just give you one. I have multiple things to speak, but I've just chosen one part of it. That when you're talking about your product, technology, or business model, this one thing, if you can actually define properly, I think the remaining things will get defined. That's something which the value proposition. What is your value proposition of your technology or a product or a business model? I've given an example here. I hope you are able to read that. So this I've taken from internet. So this is a portable dialysis unit. That is your product. Okay. So what are you? So if you see on the left side, these are the gain, and the right side, it's basically the customers. The pain point of the customers, patient perspective. So what are the pains now for of a patient who is going for dialysis? He has to travel, it's expensive, he will have multiple infections, there's chances for infection, he has to get into hospital. All these things are the pain points. So if you look on the left side, what is the pain reliever here? You are actually creating something at home, a portable dialysis unit which you can do the dialysis, hemodialysis for kidney patients at home. Okay. And similarly, what other gain are you giving? You're protecting them from infection and diseases. Okay. And what products, what the customer job, the dialysis 3x per week, you are actually making it in the home based dialysis. So what you're trying to see here is you're trying to kind of match all the requirements of the pains that the customer has. As a problem statement, I said, as that's when you propose your value, you're going to kind of address all this in your product. So your value proposition statement should kind of go like this, like my product or service helps customer X. Okay, customer here would be dialysis patient who want to, what job to be done, who wants to kind of get dialysis done at his own place without travel, by avoiding the pain. What here is now avoiding travel to the hospital, getting infection. Unlike what? Unlike hemodialysis. Unlike you go to hospital, get hemodialysis, or if you have a customer who is actually doing peritoneal dialysis at some other center. So any competitive product. So this kind of a definition for your product, a value proposition definition is must before you take it off. So this kind of definition needs to come. You should be able to define this to a person. Okay, what is your product? What is the value that your product? It's not just a product, it's the value that customer is looking for. For him to change from the status quo, he needs a value addition. Okay, so on the right side, some 6 pointers I have written is basically the steps that you would follow when you're creating, when you're actually, early stage entrepreneur should kind of follow when he gets a spark or an idea. He needs to identify his target customer, understand the customer needs, go to customers, speak to them, understand varieties of customers, speak, get the feedback, know your value proposition. What are you kind of, you have to define this there, and then specify your minimum viable prototype, where without investing a lot of money, you're building a minimum viable prototype, maybe a 3D printed version, to test it out. So once you create your prototype, you test your prototype with potential customers. That would be your first milestone, which say that okay, I'm into it. Okay, I'm having some set of customers who are happy with it. He is ready to pay if I'm actually bringing this to him. So that kind of I would say early go to market or a product market fit kind of a thing would appear at that stage. And that's when you kind of start to decide that okay, I need to register a startup now to take this further. So there are three things that you need to do when before you kind of jump into this startup story. I think all of you understand technology readiness levels, right? TRLs as they call it. So for a product to get developed, this is beyond your research paper mode. Okay, once you decide that you're translating a knowledge into a product or a technology, then you need to follow the steps. So once your basic technology research is done, then once you really create a prototype, you reach a TRL level of 3 or 4. Okay, then from there to kind of take it to a market and test it, that's TRL 7. You'll have a lot of steps in between. You'll have to clear a regulation. If it's a drug, before it goes to a patient, somebody, a regulator, a DCGI, drug controller general of India, has to say okay, this is safe, it can go into the patients. So there is a lot of money, a lot of efforts. So most of them, what happens, what you see on the right side is called a value of death. At a TRL level of 3, what where I think in academia innovation happens. Okay, so for you to kind of cross the valley of death and get into say a startup or industry, or like you yourself create an industry and take it to into a product, you need to jump onto the this. You have to cross this valley of death. You need a lot of support. You need mentorship. You need funding. You need investors. So all of these things. So some of the things I've listed on the left side bottom: infrastructure, skilled human resource, mentoring support, ecosystem, grant in aid. All these things are required here. I would urge you to kind of go through the technology readiness level definition, originally defined by NASA, but I think in India we have defined when luckily I was part of, or I was the one who defined it for BIRAC, technology readiness levels. If you go to BIRAC website, you will see that we have defined it for all different biotech related domain. We have also done that for IPTAF, how we define technology readiness, each of the technology readiness level for verticals. So it's a good exercise to go through. How do you know whether your technology is part of, it's a futuristic technology, whether what you're thinking today is going to kind of reach some peak at some time. This is something which I think people look, and they can, you can go through this Gartner's hype cycle, where you see that many of the technologies maybe that actually were in the innovation trigger stage 5 or 10 years back would be in the peak of inflation right now. Maybe you see the generative AI and others in the peak last year or so, and you will see some of them going out. They have actually in the trough of disillusionment, and then the slope of enlightenment, where they realize that okay, it's not going to kind of stay there. Yeah, few support system in India. If you really want to kind of, since I mentioned the gap there, where do you get funds? So depending on the area you are, each of these departments have a innovation funding arm. they have created, they all of them have realized that funding innovation is very important in the country. It's not just funding research. So all of them have funding for innovation startups. Okay. And then we have dedicated national mission. We are one among them, like national mission on ICPS. So we have mission on biopharma, mobility, supercomputing, semiconductor, etc., etc. And we also have the ecosystem created with more than 700 technology incubators and accelerators to support it. And more from the policy side, how the we have a national deep tech startup policy, which actually tells how the government is focusing on these domains of semiconductor, AI, space tech, etc. Coming to like why one should actually have a startup, this question is something which I think everybody should think. Am I ready to kind of have a startup? The startup, by definition, is a very early stage company with minimal operations. Okay. But if you really want to define startup, it's a legal entity that allows an entrepreneur to increase the value of his her business model. This is how I define a startup. So why I underline the word value and business model is, see, through startups you don't sell products. This is something, it's a basic understanding. If you are jumping into a startup, you sell business model. Your product is just part of that business model. Okay. You need to have a lot of things to get you need to get right a lot of things to kind of to be a successful startup, making money from the market. So for that, what you're selling to a customer is a business model. So all those I've mentioned, whether it be Uber or Zomato, or let it be, so all of them follow some business model or other. I've put some of them on my slide also. It can be a product based, a service based, subscription based, marketplace, premium based, etc. So, so the value that you are going to increase is through this the it's the of the business model. Okay. And by definition, startups are innovative and scalable ventures involving high risk and high reward. So this is not a definition of MSME, like a micro, small, uh, like an enterprise or a sole proprietorship, venture. So I cannot, you cannot kind of call them like, that's a high risk, high reward. They will be actually making money and they'll be scaling slowly. But a startup has the ability, if you actually get everything right, to kind of scale and increase the value by very quickly. So the core things, elements of a startup, what I understood from this thing, it is not a single person. It has to be a team, the product or a business model, and the market that you identify. You need to get these three things right. If you get these three things right, it's definitely good to kind of go for a startup. Startups, unlike your proprietorship and MSME, can take funding from VCs and angel investors, and later on you can go on to become a unicorn. You can go for public offering, IPO, or you can exit at a stage where you think that okay, you have made enough. Now you want to kind of move into something else. You can exit your startup. You can keep it out, and people can buy you. So all these things are, in every case there is an increase in value, which you wouldn't get if you're doing a technology transfer. Okay. If you're doing a technology transfer at very early stage, okay, you have created a world class technology. You don't want a startup. You don't want to take that risk. Rather, you want to kind of sell this technology to another big company. He will buy it at some value at some time and maybe give you royalty. But if you take it through a startup as a special purpose vehicle, the value that you're going to create, the money that you're going to make out of it would be totally different from what you get from a technology transfer. That's basically what I'm trying to. You can grow globally. So it's not unlike small business. You can really grow globally. You can reach different markets. You'll have many stakeholders. So there's no limit on shareholders, number of shareholders who can come with you. So as you grow, and this is what we understand, all the big names that we hear, they are not the major shareholders in the, the startup. Like for example, as I understand, Meta, I think it's a very small shareholder. Is now Zuckerberg holds very small share. So you will get more and more partners who get onto you as partners who subscribe to your business model or your idea in the startup journey, which would not be possible unless you have a startup. And you have a potential to become a unicorn, and even go up to offer your stocks for public purchase. So that's the thing. And then definitely other softer things are like you have tax benefits, you have the flexibility, you're not working in a environment, you can learn multiple things, you can wear multiple hats, you'll be having small number of employees, very good learning opportunity, with relaxed work culture, until a very strong VC will come and start driving you. So all these things, I think these are the reason, and that's the reason why we have more and more spin-offs coming from large corporates. So they do not want a novel new product line to get into their existing business. They want to create a spin-off, what we call spin-off from academia. Also, you can have a spin-off from IIT Palakkad. So similarly, corporates have spin-offs dedicated for a business. So just coming to how we can help from IPTF to all of you guys. This is, I think this we can speak at length later on if you want to. Currently, what we do is we have funding. I will ask you to kind of look for what is called EIR, entrepreneurship in residence. So if you're somebody with a very nice idea and you want to kind of test it for 1 year whether to kind of be a startup or not, you can definitely subscribe to entrepreneurs ownership in residence from with IPTAF. We'll be launching one very soon. So in that you'll be given a monthly stipend, and then you'll be given mentorship. You'll be taken through a lot of this detailed, and you'll be allowed to discuss with different investors, mentors, and other startups. And then maybe you'll be able to kind of find partners. All these things we can actually do through EIR. If you have little more maturity and if you have a clear clarity, then I think we ask you to apply for impact kind of programs, where I think we invest in your startup. If you're already registered a startup, then we invest in your startup as a partner. Or if you want to kind of have a flair of how it is working in startup, we have created this Agni PG and UG fellowship in IPTF, where I think, in fact, I had shared with many of you. I think you would have received. So we have 27 startups, as I said, with us. Some of them had put out requirements for interns in their startups. So if you have interest in joining any of them, it's very innovative things, not at all routine. But if you you want to kind of work with them remotely and all, we can create these kind of programs where IPTF, Agni, UG, and PG fellowship would help you kind of be part of it. So this is the current number of startups. Um, so most of our startups, very few of them are from IIT Palakkad. So I have the first two, Bumblebee and eDrift. They work from IIT Palakkad. Um, Bumblebee is a startup of Dr. Arvind Joy. eDrift is a power electronic startup at IIT Palakkad, at IPTF. Founder is Dr. Shankar. He's operating out of IIT Palakkad. All others are, many of them are from Kerala, from this region, but many of them are from Bangalore, North, Jaipur, Chennai, and other places. This is what we normally, every 6 months we come out with a technology compendium of all the technology innovations from IPTF. You can access it from IPTF website under publications. We call it renewable. It actually gives you a guidance on what kind of work is going on at IPTF. Yeah, that's my team. So we are a team of project engineers and administrator or admin team, or managers, as you can call it, or who manages these projects and then in these programs. So
So I'm a CA, Saurabh Dashottar. I have started my own consultancy company called as SFS Advisors in 2016. It's been like 8+ years. I've been into this field of startup. And yeah, like Saishyam said, I'm with IIT Hyderabad. I'm with IIT Palakkad as a consultant now. So yeah. So what is a startup? So startup is been defined. So whatever I'm talking right now is from a legal point of view. So startup, you can't say like a normal shop or a retail shop as a startup. Government has defined its own definition through Ministry of Commerce under Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, DPIIT. So DPIIT is the governing body who is running the Startup India program in the country. So DPIIT has notified their own criteria, and once you fill those criteria, then only you shall be recognized as a startup. So first thing is you should have a, so this is a formal definition visible on the website of DPIIT. You should have 10 years. The startup should not be more than 10 years old. You should have a company or the LLP. The turnover should be less than 100 crore. It should be a new company. It is innovation and scalable. These are the 5 components. Let's decode the components one by one so that you have a better understanding. DPIIT recognized startup meaning government recognized startup. Simple. So DPIIT shall only recognize two types of legal entities. One is a company defined under the Companies Act 2020, Companies Act 2013. So it is a typo. Is the 2013. So company is governed. Companies are governed by company law. There are laws in business laws which we have for every legal entity. So companies are governed by the company law. Like if you can say Reliance or Tata, TCS or Infosys, all the companies are governed by the company law 2013. And there is one more type called as limited liability partnership firms. Limited liability partnership firm is governed by the Limited Liability Partnership Law 2008. These two types of legal entity only can be recognized as a startup by the DPI. Government shall only recognize only these two types of legal entities. Company can only have a company, like have two types into this. One is company with minimum two directors and multiple shareholders. There's a private limited company, or a company which is a one-person company, wherein they can have one director and one shareholder. Limited liability partnership should have minimum two partners, and maximum there is no limit. But into this, there's one more thing which we should consider. So, company will have a share capital wherein you can issue the equities to the shareholders, and company shall be run by the directors of the company. So, board of directors runs the day-to-day operation of the company, and shareholders are the person who put their money into the company as an investment, so that the company can utilize the funds to run the, or to sell the, or to make the product. A shareholder can be the director of the company, and director can be the shareholder of the company also. But there is no mandate that both should be same. For example, if we take the example of Reliance, so Sambanis are the BODs, and I can buy the share of the Reliance, so I can be a shareholder. So I need not to be a director of the company, and they also need not to be a shareholder, something like that. Both can be same, both can be different. But when we come to the partnership status, their partners should be active, and partners, we cannot issue the shares to the partner because limited liability partnership do not have share capital. They only have partnership contribution capital. So partners are the owners of the company, and partners are the owner of the firm. But if you come to the company, the directors are the employees of the company, and shareholders are the owner of the company. It's a bit technical, but that's how it is. So when you want to raise more funds for your business, if it is a company, it's very easy to give uh, the shares and raise the funds as a share capital. But and the shareholder need not to be the director who will interfere or will liable to run the business on a day-to-day basis. But when you bring the funds into the firm, there's only one way to make the person as a partner, which will give him risk and reward in equal proportion. So it's always preferable to form a company and form a company as a startup, and then you are very free to raise the funds through a share capital. Then what are the other criteria I mentioned? First is the annual turnover of that company or the LP should not be more than 100 crore from the beginning of the formation of the company. So when you form the company, your annual sale turnover means sales should not be more than 100 crores. What is the validity till when you are going to be recognized as a startup? You can't be called as a startup the entire life of your business. There has to be some cap on it. So government put 10 years. So 10 years, for example, if you are incorporating it today is 15 November 2024. So till 15 November 2033, your company shall be called as a startup. 10 years, government is giving you the validity of being a startup. And the last one is it should be the original entity. It should not be like you have taken over any other company, or some mergers has been happened and it is a new company. It is not like that. You have to start from scratch to be called as a startup. It should be a new company formed freshly. So these were the five criteria to get recognized as a startup from the DPIIT. Now, why does it need to be recognized as a startup by DPIIT? So only DPIIT recognized startup shall be eligible to enjoy the benefits mentioned by the government into the laws. So what are the benefits? There are three major benefits which, if a startup getting recognized by DPIIT as a startup, you can avail. First is the patent application. So whenever we are making a product, it should be like innovation or some new product or a new technology. You have to get its patent done so that you can secure the rights that this is your product, or you have innovated it. So that patent fees and the application shall be taken care by the government, and the fees shall be the government fee shall be completely waived off, and the other thing will be a very bit subsidized rate. The other benefit is there are many exemptions for labor laws, and we have many laws wherein we have labor laws and environmental laws to which the company shall have to comply with. But if you are a startup, DPIIT recognized startup, then they are giving you the exemption to comply with these laws. What are the laws? We are going to see in the next slides. And there are income tax benefit. It is the most crucial, and everybody wants it. Like everybody wants tax to be reduced or waived off completely. So that's what government is giving for a startup. There shall be income tax benefits. So for the first benefit, if I come to startup, whenever you are applying, if you are a DPIIT recognized startup, then your application shall be fast track. They will prioritize your application over the other application. If you are a DPIIT startup, they will provide you some panel of facilitators to assist you in filing the IP application. Government to bear the facilitation cost, and a rebate. There will be a subsidized rate for filing the application as well. Second benefit, the exemption from labor laws. There are 6 labor laws. For example, Provident Fund, Gratuity, ESIC. These are the labor laws for a company. When they start, they have to comply with. Some of you must be doing job right now. If you can see your pay slips, you will find the deduction of profession tax or Provident Fund, ESIC. So these are the labor laws your employer is being compliant to. But if you are a startup, government is giving you the exemption of 10 years. So, okay, you need not to comply with these laws. And there are three specific environmental laws if you are going to set up a manufacturing company, wherein you have to consider the environmental laws such as carbon emission or something like that. Then there are pollution control boards and all. So these laws you are being exempted. If you are a DPIT recognized startup, you don't need to comply with that. Coming to the income tax benefits, one of the most important benefit, and DPIT, when so Startup India program, we can broadly say is bifurcated into two stages. One is getting recognized, second is getting the income tax benefit. Getting recognized gives you the patent benefits and the labor law exemption. So that is the stage one. When you are applying into the from the portal of Startup India, therein if they are recognizing your certificate, like you are a DPIIT recognized startup, and they will give you a unique number also that you are a startup now. So then these two things are automatically applicable to you. But for the income tax benefit, you shall have to apply with that DPIIT number to a proper recognized portal saying that this is a that we are DPIIT recognized startup, and now we want to avail the income tax benefits. So DPIIT gives you a platform. The recognition is giving you the eligibility to apply to apply for the income tax benefits. Then there is a body, there is a committee who review the application for the income tax benefits. This body belongs to Ministry of Finance. They will review the application. They will ask you some more information about your financials, about your last return filed, about your scalability model, about your valuation thing, projections, what you are projecting. And after review, they will give you the certificate of the income tax benefits. The maximum period is 6 months of to approve or reject the application once you submit for the income tax benefit. First benefit becomes, if we talk about for the income tax, the eligible startups can be exempted from paying the income tax for 3 consecutive financial year out of the first 10 years since the formation. So if you are, so for example, if a startup is formed and they have done a business, and in first 2 years there is a loss, and the next 3 years they are next 4 to 6 years they are saying that there is a profit. So in the 6 years, so 3 plus 6, 9 years is been done. So in the last year also, so in the 6 years they can choose any 3 consecutive financial year wherein they want to exercise the benefit of not getting taxed for the profit which they have earned. Just to clarify, the sales will not be taxed. The profit is taxed. Sales profit is sales minus the expenses. So when the startup is feeling or is analyzing that these are the 3 consecutive profitable years wherein I should exercise the tax benefit, then he can apply for it, and he will gain the benefit of it. But there is a catch on it. So nothing come in a very straightforward in the legal world. So there is a catch on it. When you are applying for, or you are availing the 3 consecutive financial years wherein you don't want to pay the normal income tax, there is a one more tax called as MAT, minimum alternate tax. So MAT will be applicable for the startups also, wherein they are paying the income tax on a concessional rate, which they can claim it when they are going to pay for a normal rate. It's a prepaid tax, but with a concessional rate. It's a bird's eye view I have given. There's more provisions into it, but yeah, there won't be no tax period for during this 10 years of journey. Okay, there will be a taxes, but they will be with a reduced rate, so that you will feel less burden. Section 56 exemption is the second most important benefit. But so what they have done, for example, you have formed a startup and you have a share value. Share value means the company which you have formed. What is a per share value of the company. So, for example, you have a share value of 10 rupees right now. Your company worth 10 rupee per share, and you want to raise the investment, which is of 100 rupees. So, 90 rupees is the premium on which the share is being sold to the investor. So the investor is giving you 100 rupees for one share, which is 90 rupees. You are getting surplus out of it. That surplus is taxable in a normal circumstances. But for a startup, India recognized startup, government has said, okay, we want to support you more, so you can raise the investments till 25 crore domestically, and we are not going to tax the premium amount, because every startup valuation is on premium only. No startup sells the shares on face value. They have to raise more money to run the business. So there they are. So their government being more considerate, and they have given the limit of 25 cr. Till 25 cr we are not going to tax you anything. Those companies who do not have this exemption certificate, they have to pay tax with 20% on that premium amount. So it's very important to take this certificate also. But having said that, in the recent budget, government being more considerate, they have removed the angel tax provision from 1st April 2025. That means there is no cap, there is no taxation on the investment raised by a DPIIT recognized startup from 1st April 2025. So if you are raising any funds post 1st April 2025, which will be on a premium valuation, then there won't be any tax. That is a huge relief given by the government, and it's a very appreciable move, and it is a very motivating move for all the startups. So these are the benefits of getting the company or the LLP recognized as a startup by DPIIT. DPIIT gives you a lot of credibility. DPIIT recognition gives you a lot of what do you say, respect also in the startup world, and it give you the authenticity. Like, yes, government has authenticated our business, and we are genuine, and uh, we have the innovation. This kind of ability or a product which is scalable as well. So I strongly recommend all of you, if anybody have already started a company or a LLP but did not get the DPIIT recognition, please go ahead and apply for the same. It will help you to raise many grants as well by the government bodies. Even IPTF is running the program, or any other like incubator or government schemes. They are mandate to have a DPIIT recognized startup. But that is give you a genuinity. It's a very good, and it's beneficial for you. It's for you also. It's free. So I would say, please go ahead, and if anyone haven't taken it, take it, and thinking of it, think on it. Now, those were the slides which gave you the insight of what is a startup. A normal business, or a normal retail business, or a tea stall, some food venture is not cannot be called as a startup in a legal world. If you want to go for if you want to avail benefits mandated by the government, you have to fulfill the criteria of being a private limited company or LLP. You should be a fresh entity. You should not be more than 100 CR of turnover, and the product should be innovation and scalable or improvisation of the existing product. These are the criteria when you are thinking to register or start a startup. Say startup may be a like a categorize or a fancy word right now, but it is ultimately a business. So business runs with good governance only. Without When we are starting this topic, good corporate governance, It may be a one slide only right now, but it's a very deep meaning. And I request you all to give a very deep thought what I'm going to say or what I'm going to speak about it right now. G- Good corporate governance means doing your business with 100% of integrity, with honesty, transparency, and compliance with the applicable law. Now, when we say the integrity, honesty, transparency, these moral values we are hearing since childhood, and these are the only thing which is required in every aspect of our life. Same comes to business as well. It requires a 360-degree approach to the entrepreneur to be accountable to its customer, to its stakeholders, which means the investors, government, and the employees. You think you put yourself into the shoes of a customer wherein you are getting cheated by some of the company's product for which you have paid a lot of money about it, or you think you are being a shareholder, you put your hard-earned money to a company to think that they will reinvest into the product and they will do the business honestly, and they will give you back the dividend and the appreciation of your the money which you have put in. You put yourself as an employee where you are working for a company, and uh, uh, a company is deducting taxes for your salary, TDS and PT and provident fund, and not depositing to the government. And you being the employee, when you are going to file the ITR, income tax return next financial year, and you are not able to claim the same because the employer, the company did not deposit or file their TDS returns very honestly, diligently. So it's a very deep approach. And being the entrepreneur is like being a Raja Rishi sort of thing. You have to be very ethical. It is being a CEO or MD or director or CFO. It is not restricted to only a LinkedIn profile where you are just want to flaunt it, or you want to show off it. It's a designation with extreme responsibility. It is before you feel power about it, you should feel responsible about it. You are being a director, you are being a founder of any company, you are 110% responsible of taking the business into in a good level, but with ethical approach, with transparency, with honesty. Fraud and mismanagement and misstatement will not land you anywhere. So good corporate governance is only required to be very non-negotiable, or be zero tolerance for yourself being mistrack or being fraud for any of the 4 or 5 people to whom you are answerable. So good corporate governance increases confidence into the investors and others into the company. If you have heard many times, I'm pretty sure the last month Shri Ratan Tata ji passed away, and we all have somewhere read about his biography or some quotes about him or something. We never heard any bad thing about Tatas. They are whoever is speaking about them, they are saying this is the most ethical company of India. So it's been a legacy they have formed it. Before money, the ethics is more valuable, and that's how the startup should work on it. We have seen through COVID time and in the last like 5 years or 6 years, in many names when the startups were falling down because of misfinancial statements, mismanagement. They haven't deposited the taxes to the government. They did not comply with the law of the land. They were doing what do you say uh, funds and routing. There are many examples. They have defrauded their own customers. They have raised the valuation in a very fancy and very rocketed way. But when somebody looked into it, when the government looked into it, from inside they were empty. So those kind of situation will not land you anywhere. It's like a bubble. So instead of living in a bubble, you should be like a you should be slow and steady and be very honest with yourself. It's a lifestyle. It is not that it's a one time show or like one time thing. Building a business needs a life of yours to give into it in a very transparent way. So good corporate governance will always help you. Will always give you a very peaceful sleep in the night. Otherwise, if your books are not very honest, the numbers are not talking very in a very transparent and a prudent way, then it won't land you anywhere. So the adverse impact on the business in case of default in compliance and financial mismanagement shall be there. And we have seen, I won't take name of any startup, but we have seen many startup who were worth of 100 billion or a million like 5 to 4 years back, and now they are in minus because they did not follow the basic principle of integrity, honesty, transparency, and compliance. When you are selling, for example, like Sai Shamji has given the very broader view of deep tech startups and tech startup. So for you are whenever you are making any software or any technology, wherein your technology and software is not worth more than 200% what you are valuing it, it doesn't mean anything. So I would say please be very particular about for a good corporate governance. Good corporate governance cannot be found in any books. I'm telling you very frankly, it's a personal behavioral, it's ethical choices which we make, which is no, which is no, which is yes, which is yes. There is no midline. There is no midway into it. If it is illegal, it is yes. It is not illegal. It is no. I I remembering one quote by Shri Narayan Murthy ji. What he said that instead of focusing on making a profitable company, we should be focusing on with profitability most respected company and more compliant company. See, profitability is required. Otherwise, there is no business. If you cannot be profitable, don't do business. Loss cannot run your business. Profitability shall have to be there, but that profit should come with honesty, with integrity, and with transparency to your stakeholders. It is not that only profitability we should focus. It should be a 360 degree approach, wherein we should consider profitability, and to reach that profitability, what is the ethical way, what is the most legal way which we may reach to that profitability. Don't focus on the timings. Don't focus on it. It may delay your success. Success delay cannot be success denied. Delayed is fine. We can wait for one more year. But if you cross the line and you do things which is not legally right, it won't last also. If you reach with proper protocols, proper procedure, legal procedure, compliance, and not inflating the income or not suppressing the profits, then the, it won't last also. Government will find out one day, and that day will be your last day. We have seen many financial scams. We have seen many corporate scams for the country, wherein one time big corporate, now they are in behind bars. So good corporate governance is should be the topmost priority for every startup. Don't think that when I become some turnover company, then only I will start the good governance. No, it starts with first day of your being the entrepreneur, first day of your bank account, first penny from the money is coming to your bank account. You have to be accountable for it. You have to be very responsible for it. You have to spend it within the four corners of law only. That's how the good corporate governance work.
Yeah, hi. This is Nivedita from the Alumni Relations Office. So, before we start the question answer round, I would like to introduce you to Dr. Shilpa N. Nair, who has completed her PhD from IIT Palakkad under the guidance of Dr. Bhavat from Civil Engineering Department. And she's currently working as a founding director of a startup company, Dromolois Research and Development Private Limited.
Hi, sir. Sai, sir. Actually, I had a question regarding IPTI. Actually, we incubated into Tekin. So, we have been hearing, during the presentation, also you discussed on some of the funding opportunities in Tekin. So, being a incubated company in Tekin, can we avail those fundings?
Yeah, definitely. I think I was, in fact, so I mentioned that we do not have homegrown startups. We have only a couple of them right now associated. I have one associated with IPTF, that is Bumblebee, and the area that you work actually falls under IPTF's purview, the focus area. That is like we are
Yes.
focused on traffic, safety. Road safety is a strong area that we are. So let us try to understand what is the technology that you're developing. I think is Dr. Bhavat also part of your startup?
Sir, it's not the part of startup, but initially when we had this plan of incubating the startup, Bhavat sir and one of the co-founder in my company worked in a proposal, called for a proposal that was submitted to the Ministry of Information and Technology. So he is a part of currently submitted proposal.
Okay, we can discuss this offline, Shripa. I think we'll be very happy to kind of hear from you, and we'll be happy to kind of give any kind of support, whether it is funding or any infrastructure support, anything that you want. We'll be very happy to support you on in your journey. Because
Okay,
it's, I
thank you, sir.
think, I completely appreciate someone who has completed her PhD and didn't want to move into academic journey. In fact, so you could, in fact, speak more authentically on the topic than me. Instead of all that I spoke, what motivated you into kind of taking up this journey?
Okay. So being a very beginner in business, I don't know if I am in right stage to advise, but the motivation was obviously the translation of research into practice. So that was always there, because we researchers, we focus on publishing papers, but when it comes to practice, where does it come to practice? That was always a question. So business was a method, so that was in discussion, so we took it up.
Fantastic. I mean, there are a lot of funding available in Kerala ecosystem. Kerala Startup Mission has a funding for researchers taking up entrepreneurship journey. IPTF also has this EIR, that I think entrepreneur in residence program, where I think
Yes, yes,
when we are
yes.
launching it, I think you can be part of that. And the funding, we have funded one of the projects from Bhavat, Dr. Bhavat.
Yes.
So I think we can discuss that offline. But very happy to know that you're incorporated. So when I heard somebody has a startup, I thought it's somebody who has gone out of IIT Palakkad and has incorporated it somewhere else. This is really nice to know that there is someone next door.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Actually, I'm working at IIT Palakkad. I'm a research associate at working with Bhavat sir only currently, and
Okay,
a co-founder and CEO of this company,
got
Dromos.
it, got it. Please do come to IPTF whenever when you feel like. I think can have a discussion on this.
So the question is, how can students leverage their time in college to prepare themselves for a successful startup journey?
How can students leverage?
Their time in college to prepare
Okay.
themselves for a successful startup journey.
It's a nice question. In fact, I think every student now coming in at, like, my generation, or maybe the very immediate previous generation, did not have the startup thought process in them. Now Every college is promoting entrepreneurship because, as Saurabh mentioned, we want more job givers, in fact, more leaders to kind of come out of our campuses. So, startup, the word startup, as Saurabh, it's all for me. According to me, it's more about having that right mindset to understand. um you know what it means to kind of take a product from the research, from an innovation or a product that you see around, to kind of solve a problem. So that drive to kind of solve a problem should be your basic things. And as Saurabh said, the business and other things will definitely come through. You have something in your hand, or something that you realize that, okay, this is a problem that I want to solve. uh, that drive, I think, students can have. Initially, when I was doing research, and I was doing research on tuberculosis, I was trying to discover a drug or characterize a target for discovering like identifying a drug during my research. I realized, okay, this is going to end up, I knew that this is not going to have a translation. I mean, that thought process was not there. You're thinking all these things are done only at in the pharma level, industry level. At that time, when you realize that, okay, no, you yourself can actually start solving this problem once you understand the steps. We are in fact having one on 5th of December mostly, where 26 startups, of all the 26 startups, are going to come and demonstrate their technology here. So you would definitely get, I know that it's going to be exam time, but if you find some time on that day to kind of come and interact with these guys, it'll be interesting. And we are going to have also a live startup pitch to investors. So we are creating that. Basically, I'm going to send out that invitation to all of you also. So some of your questions would get answered over there. That's basically my take on the question. So that's something which I think, all of us need to figure out. And as I said, you have to define which quadrant you want to fall into. You are a good researcher, you want to continue to kind of being a good researcher, don't force yourself into any other quadrant. You're working on a basic research problem, you feel that you're a good researcher, then continue in that. You think that, okay, you're a good leader, you can bring people together for a good cause, try to kind of, and then you see that there is a problem that you can solve as a group, then definitely you identify a vision statement, define your vision statement, take that journey forward.
And one more question is, how can someone determine if their startup idea is worth pursuing or if they should pivot early in the process?
They should devote.
Or if they should pivot early in the process?
Okay, so so just validating your startup idea, right? I think I covered that in my talk. You need some time to kind of validate it. Some of these things, see, not every idea that comes people appreciate. I gave you an example of coconut plucking drone. If someone can prove all the technical committee, see, you will get rejections. It's not that everybody appreciates every idea that comes to you. I gave you example of Kodak, how they rejected a grand idea, thinking that they can sell more films. When a digital camera comes, the business of films are going to get closed. But that guy couldn't. So you really need to kind of understand whether that idea has is a going to be a market. Whether if it's really novel, then try to protect that novelty through a patent. There are processes to it. You can always discuss certain part of your idea, not full of it. As I said, it's not just the product that is going to market. It's your business model that goes to market as a successful venture. So when you're developing an idea, I think get guided, whether your thought process, you can get it validated from your mentors or your friends. You can have different methods to kind of validate it. You can simulate something if there is a possibility to simulate. If you can do an accelerated validation of something, you please do that. Or if you can construct a minimum viable prototype and take it to a customer who you think should answer your queries. So all these things are very low cost things. Like if you have a 4 5 lakhs, I think if your idea is good enough, I think in IPTF and Tekin can invest on that idea to test it. So startup funding is a risky thing. When I fund 100 startups, I may get 2 or 3 successful startups. That's the ratio that I think. I think I was little too low. Maybe 10 to 20, 12% is what we see that the success rates are. So that I think. So you have the ecosystem supporting you. You can definitely come up with the idea, get it validated, then take a decision.